Welcome back, everyone, to the second half of Siege of the Empire. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to go ahead and unmute Discord, and we're going to see what's going on. Hello, everyone. Hello, no one.
Hi.
Hello.
Hope everybody.
Sorry, I was clearing my throat.
It's fine. Hope everyone had a wonderful break.
I got Jack and Coke, so...
that does seem like a good break. I have just the latter of that. I finished my smoothie, so... What are you going to do, I guess?
Get Jack and Coke.
So, one can only assume that the group of you reunites and heads back towards the surface.
I assume so.
Unless there's something else you guys want to do. I'm just making assumptions here for the group.
I mean... I feel like we've dealt with the threat for now. And that, at least going up and telling and reporting to the First Hand, Reginald, that we've done a pretty significant task, at least. We're dealing with a foul creature. And then if things continue to worsen, then, well, we gotta go back down in the tunnels.
Indeed. So, having dealt with this lieutenant of sorts, the group of you begins to head back up. Is there any talk while that occurs? Okay, guess not.
I suppose... Oh, sorry, I was thinking. I suppose maybe Morella asks Aelin. Probably, like, just quietly, so, like, it's not like, oh, hey, let's just have everyone in this conversation. It's more of between her and Aelin. If she's alright.
Yeah, so you catch Aelin, who usually hangs out around the middle of the pack. You, like, drop back maybe, and as you guys are walking along, you ask her if she's alright.
Yeah.
She pauses for a moment, and you notice she is obviously less cheerful than normal. And she just says, yes, my health is just fine.
You seem distracted.
Oh no, I have a very clear purpose currently.
You seem less joyous.
That is a statement I would agree with, yes.
Why is that, Aelin?
Lady Morella, I believe if you have to ask, then you will never understand.
No. I ask because I want you to tell me.
Back there, do you really believe that was your only choice?
No.
Then why did you choose the brutal one?
Because in that circumstance, it was the only choice.
And do you think that makes you any better than that creature you slayed?
Yes, it does.
Oh? Do tell.
Creatures sought to only kill individuals. I see to only protect my people. It would rob them of their free will. And to me, that is not a life anyone should be worth living.
And who are you to speak of these people or for them? Do you even know them, really, Morella? Have you been among them? Seen their triumphs? Seen their sufferings? Spoken with them?
She kind of glares at you as you say that. I have. And it is why I lead this path of righteousness. This path to defend those that cannot defend for themselves. Why do you think that I count everyone that has fallen? Because my hand was not strong enough to protect them.
Do you really think that you didn't contribute to their death?
Perhaps I did, because I was not strong enough to. And may my deity judge my actions, as it were.
And it should be noted that at this point, this conversation has gone from, like, you know, trying to keep it between the two of you to a little bit
Too
louder.
escalated.
Yeah, and so everybody like can hear this at this point. And I don't know if if the rest of you are all doing the like, well, you're not talking to me, so I'm gonna look this way and not pretend like I'm not part of that.
Mom and Dad are fighting.
No, Arkady is definitely going to insinuate himself into this conversation.
Yeah, so I was just giving everybody else an opportunity to like jump in if they wanted to.
So, Kree and Noct are totally going to start heading back to the place where the thing was killed.
Oh, I had assumed that this was, like...
There?
Well, no, I had assumed that this was, like, an hour or two later as you guys were headed back to the surface.
Oh, there's no way Noct and Kree would head back to the surface.
Okay, then what are you planning on doing?
We're staying where that creature was to find the aboleth.
Okay, it specifically told you it wasn't here any longer.
Oh.
It told you that
Kree
before
was
the
stunned
fighting
at
even
this
started.
point.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it specifically told you that it had left... the aboleth had left him in charge. And that's why Morella and the group assumes that this has dealt with the issue, at least for now.
At least for now.
Right. Otherwise, I assume everybody would be continue exploring the
Oh,
sewers
fuck yeah.
until you found the aboleth. Yeah.
Ah.
That's why this whole thing is occurring right now.
Hey.
This is a problem.
Now you've caught up.
Now I've caught up.
Well, hey, listen, lizardmen are cold-blooded. Sometimes I need a little bit to, like, you know, get moving, get the blood pumping, get all the synapses firing. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's fine.
We match perfectly. It's great.
It's fine. All right, continue again with the how would you interject yourself, Arkady?
I think probably shortly after Aelin has asked whether killing that thing made us any better than it, Arkady will slide in as at this point you're talking rather like the wizard themselves, are you not?
In many ways, it seemed like the creature had spoke some truth. Morella here seems to want to subjugate people with barely knowing them. That is what it did too. Seems very similar to me.
Yes,
The word of
you make an
subjugate.
interesting point, but the thing sorry, what exactly was it? Like, I'm not sure how to describe it properly.
Well, so here I'll give you an image of what it looked
Octoman.
like. Yeah.
I'm gonna call it Octoman.
It was this. Make it bigger. See this thing? I should make this bigger so I can. There we go.
Right, so I don't have a good word for what that is.
Yeah, and as well you shouldn't. Hannibal rolled like a 20-something and still couldn't identify what the hell it was.
Yeah.
It was in all respects
wanted to make
alien
sure.
to you.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure. So, break for coughing.
It's fine. Understandable.
Arkady will say that, assume for a moment, well, rather, disregard for a moment the morality of Lady Morella here. What of yourself, Miss Sheridan? Consider, for example, the speed with which you appear to have been willing to allow this being to continue with its plans as long as it did so away from you. You do not feel this is making decision on the part of others?
I was simply making it a parlay to try to learn from it. I got a few informations about what it was doing before you even or knew what was happening. If we could have learned from it, figured out what it wanted, what its master wanted, what its plans were, This knowledge could have spared hundreds of lives in the future, instead of just getting reparations for the ones that were already lost. You don't think one step ahead. You seem to all just think in the moment.
I am thinking further ahead than you give me credit for, Miss Ashriver. Sorry, is that the right title for her?
That is correct.
Cool.
In fact, you might even call her Lady Ashriver, since she is noble.
Right, lady. Yes.
Or, she is a priestess as well, so that title doesn't necessarily need to be used, but yes.
You seem remarkably willing to give opportunities to those who have declared they wish you, bear ill will against you. So, in this case, if you are able to convince ourselves, for example, that there is nothing to be won from violence, but you're unable to do so for this creature, then it slays us and continues on its way, and we remain morally pure, and you are happy with this? Happier than you are with us killing it?
Happy? Happy was never what I needed to gain here.
Satisfied.
Nor satisfaction. If the gods willed it to slay us, then that is what it would be. However, I don't think that would have been the outcome here. I really don't. I don't believe that.
This is all well and good, but it seems to me your philosophy here allows for far more power to those who are unwilling to listen to you than to those who are.
It is not up to me to convince those. I simply will offer my suggestions. You all made your own decisions, so did it. But I still believe that was not the best choice. I understand your words, Petrov. I've heard them all my life, trust me. But I still wish that more people would follow the ideals that death only brings more death. It is only when we break this cycle can we actually see the benefits of it.
Yes, I see the attraction, but you understand. I am not from your empire. I had known Kislev my whole life, and I assure you, parley there has only ever cost more lives than it has saved.
But was it true parley? Or was it really just a stay of more violence?
True parley cannot come from one side, my lady.
This is true, but if both sides are committed, then that is peace.
Well, if you have learned to have chaos commit itself to peace, let me know.
What do you think I've been doing my whole life?
Yes, I will
Not
be
doing
interested.
that, it seems.
Yeah. She works very simple as you do. She simply has entirely dissimilar methods. Neither one of you has succeeded so far.
So far, one of us will.
That
And
will be
Oh,
very
my
much
dead
worth
body.
seeing.
It is not about winning, Marilla. It's best for you to keep that in mind.
My intentions were never to win. My intentions were to protect. That is all. And if you see your merit in that, and she scoffs, then perhaps you should not stay.
Are you dismissing me, lady?
I don't know how to make the sound of an eye roll.
No. No. Those that follow me do it of their free will. If you wish to leave, then do so.
I believe you were the one suggested I leave. I have a task. I shall stay. But there's only if you wish to be here.
There are people that I wish and do not wish to be here, but they follow me nonetheless. This path I walk is what I walk. Those that follow will follow. I intend to make sure that my people are safe, and that is it. If you see merit in following me, then do so.
At the very least, I believe we are all walking the same way until we are... oh, wait, are we out of the sewers already?
I mean, yeah, basically by the end of this interaction, I was going to have you guys be out of the sewers, so yeah.
Yeah.
That probably marks a good place for you guys to, like, probably Farron, who, I don't know, are you staying as removed from this conversation? Are you doing the whistling, looking away, don't want to get involved, Farron?
Hey, why don't we talk about this back at the inn with a pint of ale and some food in our bellies to calm us all down? What you say?
No, Farron, for being so heroic, is pretty opposed to conflict when it comes to certain aspects. But yeah, you guys probably find an exit at that juncture and make it out. And you guys had entered during the wee hours of the morning, and so it is probably early evening. The sky is probably just starting to turn that orangish kind of burnt red color, and you guys exit out and receive sunlight for the first time. And I think that Sergeant Dashhound is, throughout like that whole interaction, and also like has been somewhat silent but contemplative, obviously. And when you guys get out and begin heading back towards, I assume, the religious district, she actually like kind of she grabs your arm, Morella, and like holds you back so that everybody else goes forward. She clearly has something to like say to you in private.
Who, Dashan?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so like the group of you like continuing walking, like probably a bit more upbeat now that you're out of the dank, disgusting sewers. And once you know she can whisper safely, she probably says to you, Morella, she says, I misjudged you and your party. My apologies.
She looks a bit confused.
I had assumed that conquering and heroism were all that you sought, but I see now that it is different. Even the worst among you, and you can see like she looks at the back of Hannibal's head as he's walking. Even the worst among you knows the right thing to do.
She sighs and she's like, Ash River knows her words are wise, but only to so much.
I think
there are circumstances that should that rule apply.
Yeah, and she like she looks a bit confused. She's like, that's not what I was speaking of. Your actions up until this point have been selfish, but I see now that perhaps there is some selfishness is required when dealing with things such as what you do and what you all do. And I would not be too harsh on Lady Ash River. Her goddess tells her a path that she must walk, and you must know as well as the rest of us, sometimes these paths are hard to follow and make us do things we would rather not.
She kind of like, again, looks confused as she's like, funny, my god suggests that I do what I think is best. And that is all. That my actions speak louder than my words.
Yeah, and I think she says, aye, that is what Sigmar wishes as well. And again, she like, there's a bit of like evaluation, like she maybe assumed Sigmar, but if you were a true paladin of Sigmar, that you would have just said Sigmar. And so she's like, indeed, the will of Sigmar is all chaos must be smote where it stands, and I will do such until my dying breath, but consider that not all of the deities agree with one another when it comes to how to handle situations.
Yeah, and she looks forward and she's like, oh, I understand. Were it a different circumstance, I would have given that creature mercy, but too many lives were lost.
I think she kind of chuckles, and she probably like does the thing where she like puts an arm around you as you guys are walking, and she's like, no, that creature was getting a warhammer to its head no matter what, and begins to like speed up the pace so you guys catch back up with the rest of the group.
Yeah, and Morella just stays quiet, but she like gives a small, soft smile at that, because knowing that like that's Sigmar's way, not Urson's way. Urson is just simply do what you feel is right, so long as it benefits man.
Right. So yeah, I think that barring any other strangeness that occurs in your path back, you guys arrive back at the religious district of Nuln, which we can show everybody again. There it is. Boom. This is also way less funny if Jackson's not here. Remember, this is still a thing. Okay, that's enough of that. Never mind, I lied. That's actually still just as funny when Jackson's not here.
Toasty.
So, you guys make it back to the religious district as the sun is beginning to, like, is probably about halfway down on the horizon. So it's probably behind the walls at this point. So the shadows have grown very long. And when you arrive, you can see that the mass kind of flood of refugees that were from the other side of the river, their number has dwindled some when you arrive here. That might be particularly important for Aelin or Kree, who were the ones assisting with that previously. But it does look like the number is less than it was at the beginning of the day or even yesterday. And so as you guys arrive back at... back there, do you guys just go straight into the Church of Sigmar and try to find First Hand?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
At least Morella does. I don't know what the others do, but Morella does that.
Go into the church and try to what?
Get the First Hand.
Speak with First Hand Reginald again. So as you guys enter, you can see that mixed among the paladins and warrior priests and stuff that are here, there appears to be quite a large contingent of... what are they called? Let me grab their name real quick, because they actually do have a specific thing that is their name. They are called the Red Hand, and the Red Hand is specifically the Count's personal bodyguard. There are quite a few Red Hand soldiers inside of the chapel when you guys enter. Probably marking the presence of the Count or Countess, or somewhere.
Someone of the sort.
Somewhere in here. Maybe one of their children even might be in here. Of which they do have a few children, by the way, in case anyone was curious. But you don't see them immediately. And when you enter, I think that one of the priests probably recognizes you. Definitely recognizes Sergeant Dashhound. And Sergeant Dashhound maybe even approaches somebody, and they have a short conversation, and the priest goes running off. And she probably comes back and tells you, I've sent Erund to go fetch the First Hand. Hopefully this news will be, well, make the weight upon his shoulders a bit less.
Morella nods. Hopefully.
Yeah. And so there's a moment of, kind of that awkward waiting where everybody's kind of doing things around you and you're just kind of like sitting there, gazing around. Would anybody not be present for this report?
Me.
Aelin, okay.
Yeah, I don't even think I would have walked into the building. I probably would have just went straight to visit Elma.
Right.
So.
Yes. Indeed. Let her
Would
know
have
that
split
you're
off at
dead.
what point?
Before you guys entered the church.
Yeah, so you guys would have, started to walk into the entrance of the church, and I would have just peeled off and gone to the other church.
Yeah.
To my church, as it were.
Seeing that you were splitting from the group again, though, Petrov would approach just to say, for what it is worth, I feel that it could be valuable to hear more of your thoughts when you are recovered from our most recent escapade.
Oh, don't worry, I won't go far. I promise.
That's not that.
Okay. Kree, are you going to be in attendance for this meeting?
No, I'm staying outside with Noct and taking care of our wounds.
Yeah. Both of you guys got fucked up a little bit, actually, didn't you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit fucked up.
Cool. Awesome. Farron, are you going to be in attendance here?
Yeah, I would be.
Okay. So, the court jester, the ambassador, and the lady, Hannibal probably would not attend. He's probably receiving treatment, actually. If we're being completely honest, Hannibal is probably receiving treatment for his multiple lightning wounds. So that's where he'll be for the duration. So the four of you, including three of you, and then Sergeant Dashhound, are summoned by Arund, who's the priest that Sergeant Dashhound spoke with. He approaches and he's like, Lady Fairheart, the first hand would like you in the war room, and the rest of you as well.
Yeah, and Marilla just starts walking in.
Mm-hmm. So I assume the group of you goes with, and Arund kind of shows you where it is, and he opens the door and kind of gives you a low bow as you guys enter. And when you enter, you can see that it is probably en masse of different figures that exist within this city of some import. Immediately, you probably notice the first hand, right? Still bedecked in his plate mail, although he looks dirty, as if he may have been, may have not bathed today, or been rolling around in the mud a little bit, perhaps. You notice that Count Appleton is here. He's the Count of Nuln, the leader.
Yep.
You notice he is also bedecked in his finery. You notice that that dwarf that you guys had previously not interacted with at all, but you know him to be Lord Torgarzax. He is next to him. He's got kind of this big black bushy beard. He's got a helm that's kind of like smashed onto his head, and he's carrying this like big nasty axe on his back with a shield. And he's like standing up on a chair so he can be kind of like at the same height as everybody that's in the room. You notice probably a few like high-ranking government officials that you know of, and you notice probably a few high-ranking like generals and perhaps leaders of the forces here at Nuln. And then like the exterior of the room is like kind of lined with a bunch of Paladins of Sigmar and the Red Hand guards as well. They're all kind of like lined up around, and most of them seem to be like guarding, like actively surveying the room, making sure everything's fine. And the atmosphere in here isn't tense, but I would say the atmosphere is tired. Also, I assume you didn't heal for 29, right? Is that a real thing that you just did?
Yeah, it's level 3.
Yeah, you look at the as level S3.
So that totally healed for 29.
So it's 3d8 plus your bonus?
Yeah. I mean, even then, yeah, it seems a little skeptical that if you only have a wisdom modifier 3, it should be only 27 at most.
Yeah.
So it's adding an extra d8, most likely.
Let me see where I fucked up.
Yeah, some of those mess up there. 29 is really fucking high. Anyway,
I think it's just adding an extra d8.
Yeah.
So the atmosphere in the room is that of tiredness, of weariness, and when you arrive, everybody obviously turns and looks at you as you guys walk in, and you guys are not the greatest sight to look at either. You've been swimming around in sewered water and, spelunking inside of tunnels, and that looks way more better.
Yeah.
But it's so close, so.
You guys are not the spickest and spannest that you could be, but you fit right in this room. And as you enter the first hand, he says, Lady Fairheart and company. It is good to see you.
She nods. And you as well, Reginald.
I hear that you have word.
Yes. We've defeated a vile caster of sorts.
Oh? Tell us.
It at least told us that the foul creature that was residing here is no longer here. And that it was in line with it, so we slew it with great effort.
He says that the aboleth is no longer here. How long ago did you slay this beast? You would know
more than an hour.
Yeah, probably like 2 or 3 hours ago or so.
Yeah.
And when you say that, looks kind of pass throughout the room, and they say, that must be the meaning of it. We've noticed these beasts that we've been fighting, and you can see on the table now there's a map of Nuln. In fact, it's this map of Nuln, let's say, just to make it easy.
Yep.
And you can see where there is a line drawn, probably right about here. That line there, and then all of this over here is marked as like enemy territory. But you can see that there are also marks on the map that like have like little unit figures that are moving in, like here, and also from like here.
It's a war map, essentially.
Yeah, it's a war map. And you can see then that the line has been redrawn a couple of times for like this. And then also like this. And so it reflects basically the successful missions that the paladins have been having into the slums of the city. And so with that kind of being the case, the Count probably speaks up and he says, "Ah, yes. We've noticed that the creatures have lost some of their coordination. We've been pushing much harder these past few hours, and we've been able to take most of the city back. I would say by dawn tomorrow, with our reserves, we should have quelled the invasion."
And she nods at that. And she's like, well, that is good news.
Yes, indeed, it is good news that my city will not be overtaken by these creatures of chaotic, ocean-faring beasts.
Yeah, and she kind of like... She's debating whether to speak up about, like, these are actual people or not. And not just, oh, hey, these are, fish people. Monsters.
Yeah, totally.
She's conflicted.
And Hannibal's not there, because Hannibal would totally say that if he was there.
Yeah.
And Sergeant Dashhound doesn't really know, like, she heard, but she doesn't know for herself, so she wouldn't speak up. Do you guys essentially go from there to giving, like, a full account of what occurred?
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume so.
Okay. All right. So as you guys are kind of giving that account, you notice that there are certain, there are nods and, maybe some questions that involved with, like, what type of magic was this, et cetera, et cetera. And basically you guys are kind of going off what Hannibal had told you, I assume, or Farron, what your knowledge of what was going on actually is. And so as that progresses, you notice that it gets darker and darker outside, and it probably gets on into the night by the time that you are at like the kind of ending point of where you guys had finished explaining everything and what was going on. And the Count, who has taken a seat probably at this point behind the war table, when you guys finish your tale, he stands up and he says, "This is good. You should be rewarded for your efforts. You who had no business assisting us. I will see."
We had every business to assist you.
He laughs and he says, No, you did not, but you did anyway, and that is commendable. I will see to it that you and your people are rewarded.
And she just like kind of like silently accepts it. Like she doesn't nod or anything like that. She's just like, all right, I guess. She doesn't say it, but yeah.
Yeah, totally. And so he says, if there is nothing else that you wish to give us of this tale, you are free to go.
Yeah. She just kind of like thinks for like a split second, and then she shakes her head. No, but in the meantime, I have other business to attend to. Excuse me. And then like she immediately leaves.
Yeah, and then like as you're leaving, as like the group of you leaves, you hear Count Appleton. He says, Ambassador Petrov, if you have a moment, I'd like to speak with you.
Of course, Count.
Yeah, and it's clearly meant to like only be Petrov.
Yep.
As the group of you are leaving.
And I probably tell the others to go towards the inn. She needs time alone, is what she says.
Okay. Sure. I mean, Sergeant Dashhound is there, but she's going to, there's probably a moment of like, she was kind of like, yeah, I'm part of the party, and then she's like, wait, no, I'm not actually part of the party. And so there's probably a moment where she just kind of like looks awkwardly when you're like giving commands, and she's just like, perhaps I will see you again. And she's speaking to like Farron and Morella as you guys are standing there.
Perhaps, Sergeant Dashhound, but you must return to your order. No.
I can say that my leave of absence is probably gone on too long as it is, although I assume they will give me at least a day. And she gives you kind of like a bright smile. Probably the first time you've seen her smile at all, ever.
Yeah.
So it is probably quite lovely on her face, as opposed to the constant like grimace and furrowed eyebrows that she's been giving you guys for the past 48 hours or whatever. And she gives you like a very, very like inclined head and takes her leave.
Okay.
I probably would have interjected her saying, truly, thank you, Miss Dashhound. If you're able to get away this evening, perhaps I'll even buy you a drink as thanks.
I think Sergeant Dashhound kind of like looks from you and like looks at Morella and like looks back at you and says, that would be nice. I could go for a pint.
Yeah. Morella smirks and shit, and she just looks at Farron. And just probably like whispers in his ear, like, I'm sure you want more though, right? And then just walks away. Smirking.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So as she takes her leave, Farron, you begin to head back towards the... Actually, you probably go pick up Hannibal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when he's not hard to find. You probably hear him yelling from down the hallway at some maester or
Where's
some
my
physician.
alchemist set?
Yeah, at some physician of like, no, don't do that. No, don't mess with that. Don't touch that. Rah, 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 rah. In typical Hannibal fashion.
God, it's like he's not even missing.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? I like it when Jackson... It's harder to play all the rest of you, but Jackson is just easy. It's just super simple.
Yep.
So, you eventually probably go in there, apologize to everyone, because he's not going to. And, gather him up and begin heading back to the Galleon and the Knoll, where you guys have a room. So let's jump over to Miss Aelin Ashriver. So you're going to go see Nelma, the head priestess of the Temple of Shaya, correct?
Yes, I very much would like to share the news with her and possibly pray a bit, regain some of my faith, as it were.
Yeah. Your faith was tested quite dramatically, I would say, in the sewers. So you find her there, and you can tell she probably hasn't slept since this whole ordeal started, but she is running on almost pure, just faith at this point, right? Like, her hair's still kind of in perfect order, and like the only place that she shows weariness is probably in her eyes, right? Just like looking into her eyes, you can tell that she is tired. She's moving probably with the same vigor that someone many years younger than her probably could not keep up, but she's in her element, right? Like this is what she does. This is how she has become the high priestess of a major city in the Empire, right? So, with that being said, she greets you as an old friend when you arrive, and she probably actually even embraces you and says, it is good to see you again, Aelin. I was fearful that you would not return."
I feared that myself a few times down there, but I am happy to say I do bring good news. And like, you can tell it takes a second, like she almost chokes on the word good news when she says it.
Right.
But yeah, she says, I bring good news. Seems as which we have been given reprieve and removed the plague from your city, at least for the moment.
This is wonderful news. And while I would love to hear more details, you appear...
Oh, yes, please. Go. Do what you need to do. I simply want you to.
I think she kind of smiles a bit and she's like, "No, my dear, you appear to need some assistance. I can sense it within you."
Is it that obvious?
I think she just smiles and nods, like doesn't acknowledge it, but just nods.
She nods back knowingly. She just says, "Yes, I could use some time with our goddess. Do you mind?"
She says, "No, not at all, but perhaps some quiet will do you good. Come with me." And she beckons you to follow her. And she leads you back, kind of, it's not, obviously not quite as large as the Temple of Sigmar, but she leads you back to what is a private shrine. And it actually has probably a depiction of Shalia, like a statue, and she has these like wreaths on her arms, and inside of each one of these wreaths is a dove sitting on like the lower portion, right? If a wreath is a circle and the lower part is hanging off her arms, they have doves, and it's a very beautiful depiction, and it's back in this kind of private prayer area. And she opens the door and you see this, and it has, just the right amount of that sunset light shining down upon it, and it's really quite beautiful. And she says, "Come here, my dear. You can use my private sanctum for a few hours. I will tell the women not to let anyone disturb you."
Oh, this is quite lovely, sister. Thank you. I really cannot thank you enough.
"You have done me a great favor, and so, in turn, I shall do what I can for you."
She nods and walks past her.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you can hear, like, she kind of silently, like, closes the door behind you, and you're kind of left, and it is quiet in here and peaceful, and you're able to center yourself much more rapidly, probably, than you would have normally. And you're kind of left to your own devices. Is there anything specific you do? Any rituals that you would take that we haven't already seen, or?
None that you would have already seen, but I do think that she would spend quite the whole time trying to figure out from her, having a sign from her goddess as to if she did the right thing.
Okay. So you spend a lot of time in askance of Shalia. Mm-hmm. Cool. Roll me a religion check. Oh, yeah, nice. 24. We'll get to what that means in just a moment. Let's talk to Kree. So, Kree.
Yeah.
Kree.
So,